let it do its thing, Eric, and it's about to go live.
Okay, just let me know when you are. All set?
Yes.
Okay, I'll call this Board of Selectmen's meeting to order for Tuesday, March 16th. Roll call. We have myself, Jake Thompson, Pam Alley, is Phil Crossman, and Donald Poole. Phil Crossman is not here yet. Approve agenda. So we are going to scratch the items under number 7, and this is just going to be a couple time sensitive materials. We're going to do a quick claim deed, and then we'll also have report from town manager and report of members for this evening. So I move we approve the agenda as amended.
Second.
Seconded by Donald Poole. Eric Gasparini, yes. Donald Poole,
Yes.
Jake Thompson,
Yes.
Pamela Alley.
Yes.
Okay, we'll approve the minutes from the March 2nd meeting. So moved.
Second.
Seconded by Pam Alley. Eric Gasparini votes yes. Donald Poole.
He was
Staying
absent.
I was not here.
Oh, okay. Jake Thompson,
Yes.
Pam Alley.
Yes.
Okay. Go back to the agenda handy. We'll go then to a municipal quitclaim deed.
Great, so we had 2 properties that went through the automatic foreclosure. Those liens matured. One of them has since sent us a check. And so if the board's willing to entertain that payment in full for the last back 3 years of taxes and is interested in signing a quitclaim deed, we can get that back to the property owner as we have so many other times. And then I still have to follow up with the other one that was foreclosed on as well.
Did the check clear?
As far as I know.
Okay.
Well, we haven't, I don't think we put it through yet because we need to do the quitclaim. We need to approve the quitclaim deed before we submit the check.
Okay.
Pending the check being cleared, we could, approve it pending that if you wanted.
I mean, do we have any reservations that it won't clear, or because they haven't paid for 3 years? So
I have no reason to think it won't.
Okay.
We've done that in the past too. If it is by check, personal check, we could just, make that a motion that pending the payment clears. And
Yeah, I would make that motion that it's pending that the check clears.
Okay, Donald Poole has made the motion. I'll second it. Any discussion?
You just want to clarify the motion is that to approve the quitclaim deed?
Yes, sorry, we approved the municipal quitclaim deed pending the clearance of the check that was issued for the back taxes.
Any discussion? Okay, Eric Gasparini votes yes. Donald Poole,
Yes.
Jake Thompson,
Yes.
Pam Alley.
Yes.
Okay, we'll go on to report of members. I'm sorry, report of town manager. I'm sorry.
Just a quick overview, capital projects. The bridge is moving along. I sent last week, there was a couple of questions about the granite and kind of a mock-up of what the bridge will look like when it's done. And so I passed that along, included that in the report here. So there'll still be granite kind of on the sides of the bridge and the approach. But the granite face that was where the water passes through that opening, that has been removed so they can put the concrete culvert precast pieces in. And when it's completed, you'll still see the granite on the sides, but it won't be returned on the inside or that face of that culvert. And they'll use the granite that's on site to close that gap if they pulled any of it back. The footings are expected to be poured on the one side that needs footings, I think Thursday. And then they're hoping to receive the culvert pieces sometime in the beginning of April. So as long as that stays on schedule, they'll be able to get that done for the most part and open that up, I think, by the end of April, they're hoping. And then they can dismantle the temp road. The Public Works garage renovation did include a picture in there. I know a couple of you have been up to see that. So if anyone else is interested, let me know. But they're moving along nice. All the interior walls had been put up. The insulation, I think, is complete now. They're waiting on garage doors. All the finishing work would still need to be done. They're just doing the sheetrock right now in those rooms. So moving along really nice. The salt shed is going to get the remaining truckloads of base blocks delivered by next week. And they're trying to figure out, they just found out, we were just told today, they could come out now at an opening in projects. They could come out as early as next week and start, but we're going to figure out lodging and equipment to move stuff on site. And so we're trying to hustle to see if we can get that going even sooner. Otherwise, they're thinking they wouldn't be here till May to get that going. Mentioned at the last meeting, there was a couple of bills that seemed benign for the Ferry Service for service to Matinicus and Frenchboro. The Transportation Committee at the legislature voted ought not to pass on both of those. I included in your packet a copy of the letter that was sent out as following those votes not to pass. It's addressed to the commissioner of DOT and calling for them. Also, just scroll down here. Ultimately, calling to evaluate practical funding policy options and potential structural operational changes to the ferry service, and will reduce the overall demand of the service on state financial resources. So it's a pretty broad request, and our understanding, and they had an advisory board meeting last week, and Phil might be able to join yet. Didn't sound like they had a working group named yet, but the expectation, as it says there, is to have the recommendations by the second regular session, which generally would start in January. So I don't know anything right now about who will serve on there, and other than Dennis Damon from the advisory board, and at least one legislator. So we'll continue to find more information on that.
So they won't have their recommendations until next January,
The legislature wants it back by then.
by next year.
Yeah.
Next
So they've got,
calendar year.
what, 9 months?
Yeah. Okay.
To go through that review. Couple grants to, that kind of thinking about. There's a boating facilities fund, which you see there, funds improvements to recreational boating access. And one of the things I was thinking about was trying to apply for that for the thoroughfare boat launch, and being able to utilize our TIF funds, if approved, to be a cash match. I haven't completed any draft yet, but as I do that, I'll share that for you to approve or not approve to go forward. But just putting that on your radar. If that sounds like a good idea, I'll pursue that. There's kind of a general consensus, that's okay.
Sounds good to me.
Okay. And then the Coastal Communities Grant, that was one we've gotten before for various projects. I started it last year for the water quality issues around the shellfish management closures. And so that was one that we're eyeing again, I think, and there might be a couple other projects. I know on the sewer side, there was a thought that maybe it could help pay for some of those infrastructure needs, but we'll iron that out between the two and figure out which one to apply for. If we go the route of the water quality, the thought was, potentially trying to include data and sea level rise initiatives, and possibly look to North Haven to see if they'd want to partner up on the water quality concerns, because the closures affect the thoroughfare a lot. If there's one person working for Vinalhaven side to collect water samples, it just might make sense to include that side of the thoroughfare as well. Mentioned the foreclosures. The there's another clinic ICMS is gonna be running, with some support staff and volunteers, through the town's, fire and EMS. My understanding is they're expecting to be able to provide 200 doses on Saturday. And then there'll be another clinic not too long after that to do a second round of 100 doses, from a month ago. They are still trying to get an exception, to be able to go below 60. So we're still waiting to hear back on that. Climate Council, there's the Marine and Working Waterfront subgroup that I was on, or still am on. They're going to meet on Thursday to follow up on what's gone through so far. So if there's any feedback on that, I'll pass that through. Another project I and Linnell, the Sea Level Rise Committee, are working on is this draft ordinance or model ordinance that's being proposed or being thought about for sea level rise and resiliency. Something that could be incorporated into land use standards. A lot of it mirrors what's wanted to come out of the Climate Council process. So we have an opportunity to kind of be a part of that process in developing it and proposing it. Hopefully making, some reasonable proposals for ordinances to consider. So as that takes form, I can share that with you. I've been talking with, I think I've mentioned with Rick Latimer on North Haven and Kathleen Billings in Stonington about trying to think about, identify ways that local government can participate in facilitating any of the changes. Phil, I'm going to mute you. Is a way to participate in any of the changes that are being forced through the lobster, on the lobster fishery from the right whale changes. So we're just trying to figure out, kind of answer that, what role might government play? And so we're just having that conversation, just letting you know that is happening at our level. And, if we get something a little more solid or kind of find ways to share that with you to see if we're heading the right direction, we'll bring that back. But just wanted to know that we are meeting and talking about it. We do have a meeting with a couple staff members from the Office of Policy Innovation in the Future to understand more about the jobs initiative and training that the governor laid out and proposed a month ago or so. So other than that, I think that's all I had.
When is that meeting with the Office of Policy Innovation?
Later this week.
Yeah, I'd like to hear more come from the governor on how they're going to support the lobster. I'd like to hear more from the governor and the governor's office about how they're going to support the lobster fishery, because this is very, very serious.
Okay, we'll go on to report of members.
Can you hear me, Eric?
Yes, go ahead, Phil.
Andy, can you tell us, you told me the other day about an impending visit from the DEP regarding a certain zoning issue. Can you bring us up to speed with that?
Sure. Faye's trying to work a date out to have a couple representatives from the DEP come out, just touch base and reach out, look at a couple properties with potential violations, shoreline zone violations. Yeah, I guess beyond that, it's just trying to get the date ironed out.
And so we don't have a date yet.
Not yet. They said by the end of the month.
And can we ask the planning commission to put the contradiction between home occupation allowed in most of the zoning ordinance and that allowed in RM3 on their agenda, because it really needs attention?
Sure. I think they meet Thursday, so I'll bring it up.
Okay, good. And let's put that same zoning issue on the agenda for our next selectmen's meeting. Okay.
He's taking a note right now.
Got it.
Okay, and then the second thing is at the Maine State Ferry Service Advisory Board meeting the other day, a team called the Safety Team. I'll make this brief. They have decided, they actually presented us with a plan that included doing away entirely with the opportunity for us to use line cars, and instead substituting a chute system whereby people who wanted to get on a certain departure to Vinalhaven would put the car that they had been driving all day in line 90 minutes in advance or later. And that would be the extent of opportunity for preparations to get on board the boat. In other words, no more line cars. So the North Haven representative, John Emerson, and the North Haven town administrator, Rick Latimer, and I all were present at the meeting, and we voiced our strenuous objection to that proposal, whereby the team presented it instead as a suggestion, and that they were looking for input, which they certainly got. And I put a column in the Wind today inviting anyone to contact the appropriate representatives and voice their own sentiments about how this might work. So it's not a done deal by any means, I hope. And I think that the North Haven Board of Selectmen and the Vinalhaven Board of Selectmen, if we're all of one mind, should get on board a single communication to the DOT voicing our objections. And I'm going to propose that piece of that communication tomorrow or the next day after we've had a chance to talk further with Rick Latimer and John Emerson. And I'll send that out to everyone for their approval, and we'll take it from there.
Hey, Phil,
Yeah,
what is this dangerous triangle that you mentioned in the email?
it was as far as I'm concerned, the only legitimate issue that this entire safety team had to address, and that is the area where a convergence of traffic coming and going from Knights Marine, leaving the town, the ferry terminal parking lot, and exiting or boarding the ferry all converge in one spot right there by
Right.
and that's the issue that they were assembled to address in the first place, but they got a little carried away.
I would say they did. So, yeah, I agree. That is a dangerous piece of work there with people coming and going and boats being towed and such. So I do agree that that is dangerous, but I agree with you also. They certainly have gone overboard. No pun intended there, but.
Good, that's a good one. And the fact of the matter is that the issue there at the triangle could easily be resolved with a stop sign or a temporary traffic director
Right.
while the ferry is loading, but that's too simple.
Yeah. Yeah, they certainly want to always fix things that aren't broken, that's for sure.
What about rerouting Knights out through the backside? They have a big gate over there by where Spears used to be. Why can't they just come and go from that side when the ferry's going if they really have to?
They could. On the other hand, if they had to wait 5 minutes for the ferry to unload, that wouldn't be a big deal anyway. All they have to do is just organize some cooperation among the various the various people who are involved.
Has there been an incident that brought this on, or is it just preemptive?
It's preemptive, but it's legitimate to that extent.
Well, certainly if they get rid of the soakers and all these other crazy names they've come up with. We're, in the summer, we're gonna have, even with two large ferries, I still believe we're gonna have a hard time getting our vehicles over and back when we have, just a day trip planned. So that's gonna be difficult if we can't use our line cars, plus the fact that if we take our vehicles out of the parking lot and our foot passengers and then use our vehicles that are over there, we can't get them back in the parking lot because they sell our spaces to anybody that comes in. So they're pretty much putting the screws to us being able to come and go with any convenience at all. They're not taking into consideration the island people at all in this. I don't understand it. I just don't get it.
Well, as I said, the North Haven Board of Selectmen hopefully are going to take this issue up the next day or two, or the town administrator anyway. And if we can come up with, I've drafted a letter for their consideration, and if everyone's on board with it up there, I'm going to run it by everybody down here tomorrow. And if we're all of one mind, then we'll voice the strongest objection to the DOT, and hopefully that'll carry some weight.
Well, good luck to us all, right?
Yeah,
Thank you, Phil.
okay.
I would like to yield my time to Ellen. I see the housing committee is still on the agenda, and I wasn't sure she maybe hadn't been aware that we were going to try to have a short meeting. But because she's here, if she'd like to give an update, I know that committee met last night.
That's very kind of you, Eric. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Thank you very much. The Housing Committee is a good group of people. People seem very earnest in really trying to solve the problem this time. Oh, good, you have the formation document there. We've done our best to fill this out with Matt's help. It's all new, but I guess we're the test case for this new procedure. We are thinking about how we're going to do an assessment for people who need year-round affordable housing. We all took names and are going to be doing some individual research. I have a few places that I was going to call today, including the Island Institute and Mary Terry that helped the North Haven Sustainable Housing Initiative, and the fellow who came out from Maine Housing. So I think, we have a very committed group, and I think we're willing and able to move forward with your permission and authorization.
I'd like to say I'm very enthusiastic about this group. I started the first housing committee, and it certainly lacked the energy that your group has. I'm very enthusiastic about this. And I would suggest that you add to your goals of affordable year-round housing, also manageable housing, assisted housing for the elderly, because in our original list of goals was providing housing for the elderly that would delay the inevitable, if the inevitable were going to elder care or something like that. So just keep that in the back burner.
Well, as you know, that's one of my very prime interests. And I did promote that to meet in the very beginning, but some people felt that we needed to focus our attention on issues one at a time. But I certainly will make note of that, and I'll bring it up to the members of the committee and keep that very much in mind. Maybe we can come up with a way of having affordable year-round rental housing and elder housing all combined together. But we need to know how much elder housing would be needed too. So that's a kind of a different assessment, which maybe Mary Terry could help with.
Well, there's at least you and I.
I'm never going to get old. I emailed Claire today to ask her if she'd consider being vice chair, but I haven't heard back from her yet.
So
Thank
do we need to make a motion to let them go ahead? What are they looking for, Eric?
Have we not already formed this committee officially? Or?
No,
Yeah.
you haven't.
Oh, I'm
And
sorry.
you haven't appointed the members.
Oh, okay. Well, in that case, I move that we create a housing committee with members Ellen Ellisoffen, Hooper Brooks, Patrick Salt, Claire Jackson, Dorothy Jeffers, Kathy Young, Pam Kittredge, Tim McAvoy, and Patrick Trainer. Did I get everybody?
Yes.
Second,
Seconded by Phil Crossman. Any discussion? Okay. Eric Gasparini votes yes. Phil Crossman,
yes.
Jake Thompson,
Yes.
Pam
Yes.
Pam Alley,
Yes,
Donald Poole.
Yes.
Thank you, Ellen.
Thank you very much for your consideration. I really appreciate it.
Is there anything else under reported members?
Oh, one more thing. Do we have we chosen to whom we will dedicate the town report, or is that for later?
It has not yet been acknowledged, and Darlene just sent an email out today reminding folks, if we could have department reports and those things back within a month. We're shooting to have it to the printers the first week of May.
Okay, thanks, Andy.
I move we adjourn.
Oh, I had one thing.
Oh, go ahead, Jake.
I know I'm not on the island, but there's obviously rumors of a case of COVID on the island, and it's gotten to me down here that some people are blaming that might have come, the test results might have come from actually getting the vaccine. So I think maybe the EOC should put something out there saying that, the vaccine's safe, and, just disputing this rumor. If I heard it all the way down here, there must be some traction to it.
Yeah, I think Gabe had posted something yesterday as an update from the EOC. So hopefully that covers the concerns.
I didn't see it. So.
I actually haven't posted anything yet, but it's supposed to come out tonight. But that I don't have anything in there specifically, Jake, around vaccine safety, but I can do a follow-up that's specifically about that this week.
I mean, it got to me down here. I don't know, how much it's getting around up there, but it's all the way down to Florida, at least, that people are blaming it on the vaccine. So we should just tell everyone that, when it's their turn, they should seriously think about it, that it's safe or whatever. Maybe just dispute the rumors, I guess. That's all I had.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Okay. I move we adjourn.
second,
Seconded by Phil Crossman. Eric Gasparini votes yes. Phil Crossman,
Yes.
Jake Thompson,
Yes.
Pam Alley,
yes.
Donald Poole.
Yes.
Thank you all. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Thanks.
You have tapped in, I didn't know about it, I'm here.